Hello guys, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. This is going to be a different video series together, and as you know, as you see on the screen, it's going to be a mobile and web app. Mobile, Android, Mac, that's an iOS app, and also Mac application and Windows application together. Right, so 4 in 1. Yeah, so welcome back to .NET Maui application development. So this video is going to be a little bit detailed one, also a starter. It's good for those who are about to start web development, or that's an application development, and those who are geeks already. Yeah, at least they can grab something from this video. Now this video is about creating a simple application. Here there is no database connection. We are creating a simple application using a list and a Maui. But before we get into that, what you see on the screen is what we are about to develop. And mobile application whereby we can add tasks of the day. In the morning, we go to school, we go for workshop, perform house chores, rest for some time, eat, exercise, do a lot of stuff. Okay, so this, when you add, it keeps in an order form. So the first one, second, third, fourth, up to the last one. That's what you see. So let's try to have some features or some background of .NET Maui, and let's, at least for the starters, to know what actually Maui is and what they're about to develop, or the environment they're about to enter. So first of all, what is .NET Maui? As soon as you hear .NET, what comes to mind is Microsoft. Yeah, community. So Microsoft actually is abroad, and all these .NET framework. Yeah. So .NET is actually for Microsoft. So as soon as you hear .NET, Microsoft. Now, what is Maui? Maui stands for multiple or multi-platform. So multiple platform application UI. The UI there is a user interface. So multi-platform application user interface. That is a Maui. Now Maui is a cross-platform framework for creating native mobile and desktop applications by using 2 languages, either one using C# and XAML. The XAML is XAML, XAML. So you're going to create mobile application using this .NET Maui framework by using C# and XAML. So using .NET Maui, you can develop applications or apps that can run on Android, iOS, Mac OS, and Windows. So you see, when you develop application using the .NET Maui, the application is going to run all these 4 platforms: Android, iOS, that is for mobile phones, Mac OS for laptops or computers, Windows for computers as well. So develop one application which is going to share a single code base. All these applications, all these platforms, going to share a single code base. So develop the code base, then all the apps are going to pick it from there. That's fantastic from .NET Maui. Now Microsoft is doing well, and they are actually helping programmers to achieve or to be versatile and programming environment. Yeah, at first we used to use the Xamarin. Now with the Xamarin, you have to write a code base for Android, for Mac OS. But for now, thanks to the team, we have single code base which is going to build on from all these various platforms. So for those who do not know what Maui is, I think this simple video, that's almost 5 minutes video here, has introduced you to .NET Maui. Yeah, so let's see what can we do now. So let's try to create applications and we move on with that. So this is what the application is going to do. We're going to develop a simple mobile app, and here's an Android, and this for Windows. So the same application is running on the Windows and it is running on the Android. Yeah, so in case I have Mac, it's going to also run on. In case I also have an iOS, it's going to also run on. Okay, so that's why we say the single code base. Now let's create an application, but before we create an application here, we have to install this Maui. I believe you have installed Visual Studio already. If yes, then go to Visual Studio installer. Now this is the installer, so it is there. Just type in the window key and type in just installer, and you're going to grab it over here. Now with this installer that you have here, click on it to open, and Visual Studio 2022, actually the preview one, that is the 8.0, Maui is not up to that limit, so it is for 2022 17.5.5, but 17.6 is available here. Okay, so you can click on modify. So when I click on modify, it's going to open the workload, and now we can install the Maui. So let's wait while things are getting ready. Then we install the Maui from there. Yeah, so as you can see from here, you can see I have ASP.NET and web development. That's ASP.NET Core, and Blazor, etc. has been installed here. Now when you go to desktop and mobile apps, you can see we have also build Android, iOS, Windows, and Mac apps from a single code base using C# with .NET Maui. Click on this, and it's about 3 or 4 gig, so make sure you install that. I've done mine, so I have 0 bits here. Click on it and click on install. So when you're done, you're good to go. It means you have now installed Maui. So how do you create an application? It's very simple. Now to create an application using this Maui, click on file, then new project. So click on new project. So you can see we have, this is a recent project template, .NET Maui. You haven't created one, so you won't going to see this. Select this, and now choose Maui. Okay, we have the first one. We have Maui Blazor app. We have Maui classes. Let's go in for the first one because we want to create the app for this for platforms. Select this, click on next. So give it a name, and now click on next, choose a solution name, and now the framework 6.0, 7.0, so choose 7.0, choose any, click on create. So when you are done, you're going to have a page or application created like this. Let's go through the design architecture, how Maui has been arranged or scheduled, the environment for Maui. Let's see. So the first one is a solution, as you know, for creating Blazor applications and a whole lot of using .NET to that Visual Studio. You know what solution is, right? So solution organizes all projects together. Now we have our first project, that is a .Maui. So here I made it to do list. That is the name of the project, Maui.to-do list. Now we have dependencies. You know, in dependencies, that is where we can install our packages, NuGet packages, and also link other project references or class libraries. We have properties over there, and that contains the launch settings for our launching application running an application. So that's where we can find our launch settings over here. We also have platforms. So as we are saying, or we said that .NET Maui gives us a single code base which can build application from different or separate platforms. So when I click on this, you can see we have the number of platforms here: Android, iOS, Mac Catalyst. So this is for Mac OS, this for iOS, this for Android, Windows. Now Tizen here, it is for Samsung. So if you want to develop Samsung application for Samsung phones using their software or their platform, you can now use this Tizen. Okay, now we have resources. That is where you put all your font size, your fonts, your images, your styles, your icons, everything. So it's a resource folder. Everything can be accessed here. Talking about resources, we have app XML. Now what does this app XML do? Now you can see that is where our font, our styles, our resources have been linked. So you can see we have resource dictionary and we have our styles and colors being linked over here. So all resources, that is where the head has been linked, or is being linked over here to our project. We go to the app shell. The app shell is the navigation system. So this navigates us to our home page. So it's a routing. As you can see from here, the route is routing to the home page for initial one. As soon as you load the application, it is routing us to the main page. You can see we have a title here. As in Blazor, we have our route, or that's we have the app.razor. Oh yeah, that's an app. You can see this also thing. We have an app shell, and here that's our routing system. So if you want to route, change the home page, you're going to change it from here. Okay, we talk about that. Okay, also we can go to a main page. Now this main page here is a single page, or is a page that the shell is routing to, main page. So you can see that we said in mobile apps, that's the .NET Maui, we create our interface using the XAML and our code behind file using the C#CS. So this is XAML, that's an interface. So that's our main page, and what you see on the screen here is exactly what you see here. That's the source code here. We're going to clear all this and we're going to go through this again for you to have the basic understanding here. I think we are done now. And here is a Maui program.cs. As you know, in Visual Studio, in Blazor, most applications, we have a program.cs file. That is where our DI, that is the dependency injection, is going to be inherited or going to be put. Also, where applications start to build, because we have a startup, create Maui app, and it built or it create and build application. So that is the heart, the starting point, the entry point of our application. Okay, so you can see that the fonts has been added here, and if you have any DI, that's the dependency injection, we're going to put it over here in case we need to register an application. So you need to register some component that you're going to be using. Here we have to register. So all registrations, all dependency injections occurred here. So take note, as soon as you're here, we are going to register this. We're going to perform DI, dependency injection, then gear your mind towards what the Maui program.cs. This is architecture. Maybe you can just go to the internet and read a lot about it, but this is actually the few one that's in the 0 point. We're going to help you in this environment. I think you're good to go now. Yeah. So let's see. Now let's close all this and remain in the main page. So right click, I'm going to click on this close all, but this. So how do you run the Android and the Mac or the Windows? Now you can see we have the debugging tool over here. So click on this, and now you can see we have Windows machine. So when you run on this Windows machine, it creates a virtual machine, or the virtual machine, and this virtual machine that it creates, that's what's going to run for the Windows. Okay, so that is this one. Now how do you go for the Android? Click on these tools, and now click on Android. Click on Android Device Manager. So this Device Manager, let's wait for it to load. Then we're going to install an Android API. So click on yes to allow it to access the content. Then that is it. So you can see your device or your device is going to appear here. You can download a lot of devices as you want, but for now I have Netcode 6 API 28, Android version 9.0, and I have Netcode 6 Android version 13.0, and I have 10.0. but this is an error one, so I cannot access this. But I can access this. As you can see, we have start. How do you create yours? Click on new. Now the new that you click, you can see you have it over here. So choose your base device. So this is PS5 automatically selected because we have a lot of device here. Okay, so choose any of your choice. And now when you are done, this is the processor. So 64, you can go in for 32, this is 64. And also there's an OS brain system over here. So the current one is 13.0, you can choose up to 5.0. Then you click on create. So make sure you are connected to internet because you're going to download the API or the platform for you. So that's the platform here is almost 1 gig, and that's what I'm going to download for this OS, then install. So when you're done, you come here, and instead of this Windows machine, you come to this framework. As you can see, this Windows selected. Then come to Android emulators. Then you can see the downloaded one is going to pop up here. Then you choose the downloaded one. So this one is going to be the 9.0, so like this, and it's going to change. So I can now run this as I have run it over here. Okay, so this means that whatever that we're going to run is going to pop up both on the Windows machine and the Android. So I'm going to close this Windows one. Then I'm going to maintain this Android because that's what you're actually going to be using. So when you have done, you are good to go. So you are set. Let's click on the main page. Now the main page, you can see it has the XAML, that's the interface, and it has the code behind for that's the CS. CS stands for the C#, and this is the XAML. So the XAML here, that is the content, the UI. So click on the XAML, and as you can see from here, this is the UI. Now we have the content, and you have this script. So I'm going to clear all this. Now you have the default one over there, so make sure you clear that too, and leave only the content. Okay, maybe another time, once we keep learning, we're going to talk about the content, how the content of a Maui or is being arranged. Maybe talk about that, but for now I think this is okay. So let's move on. Now I'm going to save this, and now let's see if we're going to reflect on our page now. So we can now run this to see the output. So we have nothing here, and let's see. So this running. Let's wait and see to reflect here so we know what to do. So click on this button to also run yours whilst you clear this. And when you're done with this, you have to go to Solution Explorer. Now code behind file, click on it, and I can see there are going to be a default buttons here. So clear all of them, because while the interface or the controls have been cleared, the code behind file controls must be cleared. Because if you don't do that, you're going to have an error when you run the application. Okay, so let's see. Now it is building, so let's wait and see. Okay, so deploying to this, and yeah, so we wait. We started. Let's wait to get effect. Okay. Yeah, so it has closed the application. It's going to open it again. Okay, so it is relaunching it. Okay, that's good. So you can see we have home to do app. Now where do you find this home? That is the routing page, app shell. So if you want to change this or add this to your page, go to the Solution Explorer. Now search for app shell. Let me just minimize all this. So app shell, and that is this. So the app shell, it has a title, and that is, so this title is going to display on top of the page. So home to do app. So this is how to do app that you're going to create. Okay. Alright, so you can see that from here we have an empty space, and so let's start. Let's start in writing something meaningful, and the token is talk. Okay, So let's go with the practical aspect and see. So first of all, what you have to do here is you're going to create a grid. So this, I want that to give a space here, so I can actually indicate starting. So maybe to do app starting, let's say tag starting. And you know, to comment is very simple. Control K and C. You're gonna comment it. So, or you can just click on this to comment. Okay. Now, what you have to do here is we need to use grid. Now, with this grid, we can specify row definition. Now, you know, grid are rows and columns. So, row definition, and here the first one is specify 100 here, maybe 100. Then you want to have how many rows here. So these are the rows that you want to specify. So 100, last one, let's give it as a star. So 100 first row, second row. The third row you want to perform an auto check. Then the last one is star. Okay. So we can just customize it anyhow you want. If you want to change it to 100 too, you can do that. So this is the row. So how many rows that you want to have on that page? 4 rows. Okay. Now once you have this, let's specify column as well. So column definition 2, and here I want to specify 2 columns. Okay, so these 2 columns, I want to specify the first one is -75. Put in the star. As soon as you put in the star, it's going to compute itself to find the ratio. Then comma. So let's make it 75 is okay. Let's make it 70, then that's 30. So all must give you 100. Okay. So let's see. Once you have this, we can now come inside here. Let's first display an image. So let's display image here. So this image. Now you can see when you go to the source here, you can see we have a default image, and that's what you're going to use. So when you go to resources, you see we have images. You can see this .net.svg. Okay, so that's what we want to use. So this image, let's have source. So that is .net. Okay, svg, and alright, so the .net, no, that's going to be the bot dot, let's make png, because the png file, although it's an svg, but when you run it, it's a png file. Okay, now we have a grid now with 2 columns. So let's spread this across the columns. So we're going to say grid dot column span. Then how many columns do we have? From top here we have 2. Okay, so we're going to spread across this. Okay, now let's save this. You can now run application and see. So let's run and see the output of this. So you want to have the image spread on top here from left to down. I'm going to cover the whole screen, because we have 2 columns separated, but it's going to fill the entire column together. So let's wait and see if we're actually on the point. So if you are done, then we're going to have our entry. So you want a person to enter tax name. So let's see. It's now launching. As you can see, Android app is running. Alright, so you can see we have the image middle. Okay, the image is in the middle, so it is coming from this side into this side. That is why it's in the middle. Alright, now let's go for an entry. So let's go for entry like this. Now this entry, let's search for placeholder. And so place, or we can just say enter your task. enter your task. Maybe you can have a placeholder color, maybe black. Then here let's specify grid.columns. So the columns here, it is 0 the first one, because we have 2 columns, so it is in a 0 base, so 0 index base 0 1, then the 1 is the second one. Okay, so we have this, and let's also specify grid.row. Now you know this image here defaultly we didn't specify that, but it is the first one 0, so we can also say grid.row, and this is 0. Okay, this is the first one. Now this is going to be 1. Okay, so the second row. Now we said we want 4 rows, so we have covered 1 2. Now we have entry. Now let's go for button. So this button. Now this button that we have here, let's have text to this button. You can use plus, let me say save task or add task. Add task. Then here we can specify, so grid.column. So this column here is going to be 1, because here it is 0, so this 1 to push it to the other side. Then which row? The same row 1, so dot row, and it is 1. So the entry and the button is going to be on the horizontal line, okay, because they're on the same column, they're on the same row. So you can see this row 1, this row 1. So row 0 is the first one, second. So this is going to be in a line form like this. So this button is going to be over here. Okay, so now we have this. Let's run this and see the output. Let's see the output. Alright, so you can see it has run, and you can see the space is too big. Yeah, it's because we set here to 100. So let's set this to auto, because the first one is the image, second one is the entry, and we set it to 100. So let's set this to auto. Save this. Let's run it again. Alright, so you can see that here we have it displayed beautifully. So we have our task, so enter your task and add button. So as soon as I click on this, I have the keyboard popped up, so I can type in anything at all. So wash, I can type in wash. So I'm going to wash. You see it is working over here. Alright, let's move on. Now once we have this, what's the next thing to do? We want to display a list over here, right? So if I click on add, you want to display the list here. So let's go to that. Now in order to display this list, let's first create a list with a hard-coded one. For hand-coded, we're going to pass in the normal task, not from the text box, but rather from the user, from we the programmer. Okay, so here we need to use collection view. So collection view. So here let's specify the grid. So grid dot, so here row is what? So a row, it is 2 now. But before that, let's use frame. So let's use a frame here. So this frame, let's specify grid. So grid dot row, and now this is going to be 2. So this is going to be 3. Okay, because it's 0 1 2 3, that makes the 4 rows. So and this row, let's use grid dot column span. That is 2. So you want to span, we want to join the 2 columns together. So let's put this on the new line. Okay, so once you have this, let's go in for a label. So there is a label. So this label, let's have test, and it's equal to, we say my task. Okay, now let's see. So font color, so font size, make it 25. Then you say font color, or you can use text color. So text color, you're gonna say blue. Then background color, so let's use transparent, maybe font family. You can use Tahoma. Okay, now let's use horizontal option. Let's set this to middle. So horizontal option, we set this to center. Okay, so we're gonna move this to the middle. Let's save this. That's our frame. Now let's go to our collection view. Now we have the row as 3. Let's have a column span, so grid dot column span, let's span to 2. Okay, now once we have this, let's inside here, let's have collection view dot, then let's have an item source. So item source over here, and this item source, we open it and we want to pass in X as an array. So we want to pass in an array of this. Now the type that we specify here, type is going to be a string, so type is equal to, let's specify this, then we say X colon type, so S colon type X colon what, string. So that is the type that we are specifying. Now whilst, let's close this. Once you have this, you want to specify X string, so X string. Then let's say we'll go to school. So that's the first task. Go to school. You can actually make a copy of this and paste it. Okay, so you go to school, and after school we'll go to supermarket. Then maybe what I would do, maybe we'll perform as chores. Then you say rest for some time. Okay, then maybe you can add the last one. Prepare some food. Yeah, because food is very important. Okay, so there is a list. Now let's save this and let's run and see. So save. Now run this, and let's see what's going to pop up here. Alright, so you can see we have it pop up over here, and as you can see, but if you check the buttons here, it is too close to this line, the edge. It didn't apply to this, and even the text here. So let's perform some spacing. Okay, now the spacing, if we want to do it to the grid, because the grid contains all. So let's go to the grid, and in here let's perform padding. So let's set it to 10. Aside from this, let's say row spacing, let's also set this to 10, and let's set column spacing as well to the same 10. So this is going to solve that. Now we want this to look like what we have the tags here. It is too tight. You want it to be loose and have this frame at the end, because you know this is the frame that we had. the frame. So let's do the same thing to apply to that, and in doing so we have to go in for an item template. So let's use the grid that we have here. See, this is an item source, and let's at the end, let's see collections. So dot item template. So item template. And now with this template, the first thing that we have to do here, let's specify data template. So this data template that we are specifying, let's create another grid here. And now with this grid, let's set padding of this grid to maybe 0 and 5. So I think this left and this top, right? So left top is 5 pixels, and now the left is 0 pixels. I think so. So let's see. Let's have a frame. Now with this frame, we want to pass in the same label that we passed in. Now this label that we are passing in, let's set the text. Since we have the text specified here already, we want to bind this, and we say binding, then dot meaning to itself, referring to itself, and that is what we call the collection view. So all elements in collection view are going to have a feature as a label, and any method or any attribute that we apply to this. So let's add font size. Maybe font size can add as 20 or maybe 18. Okay, and yeah, so maybe that's what we can do. Let's maintain this for now. So let's save this, and now let's run this application and see. Alright, so you can see we have it beautifully rendered. So we have to go to school, we go to supermarket, we go perform house chores, rest for some time, and prepare some food. Yeah, after that maybe I will sleep. That's going to be the last task for me. So you can see we have it over here, and defaultly with the grid it is scrollable. So you can see I can scroll up. You can see one is missing. If I click on this, there's one here. I can just move up. Yeah. So we are having an interesting app, and you can, as you can see, there's a space here and the space here. There is 30, add tax, and there's a tax here. So add tax. You can decide to make it 75 or 20. That's what you can do from here. Maybe here going to be 25 and 75. So 25 here, you can make 75, depending on your choice. Okay. If you think the button here it is big enough, the text box is smaller, then you can have it here. Yeah, so let's maintain 25 and 30 here. Now once you have this, what you need to do here is to add a button click, because you know from here, if I pass in text and I click on add to tax, nothing happens. I click, nothing happens. So I can pass in here, maybe you will have to sleep, so go to bed. So go to bed, add to tax, but nothing happens. So we haven't performed any event over here. We just created the views. Now let's go to the event. So maybe in the Android we want to now swap to delete. Okay, so as soon as I click on this, let's see, as soon as I click here, so in order to handle the event, first of all, let's see, click on add to tax to add it here. So in order to do this, you want to use this architecture, that is the MVVM. I hope you've heard of it before. M stands for model view and view model. So it's like a vice versa, turning the model view upside down. Model view, view model. MVVM. Now what is MVVM? It is simply a code behind file. Okay. Now this is a XAML page. Now if I click on the button, which control or which property to handle that? That's the MVVM. So we have to create a folder whereby all events are going to be handled there. The output, all the interactions are going to handle are going to be contained inside the MVVM classes. So let's go to Solution Explorer. Now let's add a folder to organize our work. And now this folder we're going to create as view models. So add new folder. Then at times how am I saying is slow? Yeah, because a lot of tags. it's running a lot of tasks. Yeah, so at times it gets tired, but I still have patience for it, and I believe you also have a patience for it. So let's all wait. So we're adding a new folder, and now the name of that folder is going to be what? So here it's going to be a view model. Because we are running this, we cannot rename this folder. Okay, so let's see, view models. So that is a folder that we have created. Now this folder that we have created, we have to, since we are creating a MVVM for this main page interface, or this control widget class, you want the MVVM class or the file to have the same name. So main page, okay, view model. So let's right click on view models, let's click on add the new class, and here we can decide to change the name, but I think it must sync with the UI. Yeah, so for the class it's going to load, then I'm going to make it as main page view model, because the UI here is main page.xaml. So we can make it main page.view model. So main page, okay, view model. So main page view model, click on that, and that's a class. So add, and this is a class that we are adding. So now we have here, we can now clear all this, and even this namespace we can also specify it. So we can clear this and clear this, yeah, and put a closing here. So the namespace is going to be namespace Maui.to-do-list.view model. That's the namespace. Okay, this is our class. Let's make it public, as you know. So this is public class. We can save it. Now we have to install some package, and that is the community package. Is known as a community toolkit.mvvm. The community have made it very easy. Is it easy or easier? Yeah, for using this MVVM, for having your connection, your buttons, event handled. So it is easier compared to using the event driven one. So let's see, it is easy for now, but if you compare it with the event driven one, it is easier. Yeah, so let's see, let's try to install the package. So right click here, dependencies, and now go to manage NuGet package. So we are going to install, click on the browse tab, and we're going to install community toolkit. So community toolkit.mvvm. So I can now choose what I have here, community toolkit.mvvm. Okay, so check the include pre-release to get it, and that is it. So the current version is 8.2.0. click on this and let's install. So click on install. So as you can see from here, this package includes a .NET MVVM library with helpers such as observable object, a base class for object implementing the iNotification, iNotify property change interface. Okay, so instead of using this iNotify property change interface, we're going to use the observable object. So click on OK, accept it. Yeah, accept without reading. Now it also have what the observable recipient, validator, and etc. Now let's see. So it is done. Alright, so while it is done, what we can do here is let's go to our main page view model, and now we want to inherit from this observable object as indicated on, because here it should have been the iNotify property change, but this inherits this library that we just installed, inherit from this iNotify property change. So if you inherit from that property, it means indirectly we are inheriting from the iNotify property change. Okay, so observable, well, not observable, so it is an observable. So objects. Now control plus period. Let's gathering suggestions. So you want to include the community2k.mvvm.component model. So the package that we just installed, we want to include to the namespace so we can have access to this and the various classes or the methods in it. Okay, so control period. So let's all wait and see. Loading suggestions. You know, my machine is getting old, right? I need to get a new one. So at times it slows down for some time, but I still have patience as a teacher teaching kids. You must have a lot of patience at some times, yeah, because some things are annoying and you have to still swallow them and be patient at all. So it is waiting, skipping a lot of time. Alright, so alright, so you can see using community2k.mvvm.component model. So we click on this. So we have to add this to the namespace. There are a lot of files around my area. I've moved from where I am to a new place. So here there are a lot of files. Okay, so don't worry if you hear them making some noise. Pardon me for that. Okay, let's focus on what you want to do. Now let's leave the NEMA issue aside. Okay, so using components community2k.mvvm.component models, and you can see the issue here it is solved. So what we have to do here is first we have to in a public class, let's create our list. So let's create our list here, and this list, let's use an observable collection. Should have been in the middle here. So that is an observable collection. Observable collection, and this collection is going to be a list of strings. Okay, so let's do it again. So observable collections, I'm sure this doesn't want to come. So observable collections, and this it is as a list of strings. Then you can say items. So these are observable collections. Let's pass this as control period. Let's use objects model. Okay, so we have this. Let's put an attribute on top from the MVVM that we created as an observable property. So observable property over here. Okay, now let's initialize it. So let's create a constructor, control plus period. Let's generate constructor for this main page view model. Then we can now initialize this. So generate constructor. So control period, generate constructor here. So I want us to set up this here. Control KD, let's rearrange it. And now in here, let's initialize this. So under initializing, we say items. Now you know we create a public and a private property. So normally for private is in lowercase and public start with an uppercase. So items. So items. Okay. So you're going to say items is equal to new. Then we say observable collection of string. Then we close it. So we are initializing it. So when this page runs, this is the first thing to run, the items here, because that's in the constructor. Okay, so once you have this, what's the next thing to do? Let's see. Now here must be a partial class. So partial class, let's specify that before you forget. And the partial class over here. So let's see. Let's have a string test, the test that we are going to bind. Okay, as soon as I click on add, the test from this app. Now we're going to pass in test here and click on add this button. So this test, we bind it over here. You specify the test here, and now the test that we specified, we also need to specify this observable property on top too. So observable property, and this is a private, so the public one is going to be capital T. That's going to be the public. So once you have this, the next thing that we have to do here is create a command to an event. Now this is an observable property, and let's say void, and we say add. So when I click on add, at least we need to make it as async. So this add, so if I click on this add, what should happen? Let's add our item. So in order to add the item, you want to say items dot add. Then let's add this test. Very simple. So the item that we have initialized here, we are adding the test here. So no, this is wrong. We need to use a relay command, because this is a command, so we are using a relay command over here. And there is an async void, so there's an add. So we are adding the item. Very simple. So we add the item, we add this test to the item over here. Okay, so we save this. Now it is saying this is an async, but you're not having any async tags here. So let's see. For now, let's make it only void, because there's no command, there's no await. So Control K D, we arrange it well, we save it. So once you have this method, what do you have to do again? Let's go to our main page CS. So that's our code behind file, and let's try to perform some magic there to enable us to call this method when the button is clicked. So we go to our main page.xaml.cs. Now in here, you can see it's inheriting from a content page, and what we have to do here is let's inject this main page view model. So main page view model, and I think it's over here, so we can now choose this. Then we say VM as a view model. Then let's perform a context or binding context. So binding context here, we set is equal to this VM. That's very simple. When using component 2 model for the MVVM, it's very simple to configure an event to a UI. Now once you have this, what do you have to do again? We have to now go back to the main page.xaml, and we have to add this namespace. So let's go to main page.xaml, and now here, this content, let's add the namespace. So the namespace is XML_NS. So it stands for namespace. So XAML namespace. NS stands for name, and the S stands for space. Okay. So with this namespace, let's see, it is view model. Okay. So view model, then it's equal to CL, then R dash namespace. Okay. So namespace. Then once you have this namespace, we can now go in for it's Maui, as you can see from here, it just popped up here, .view model. So Maui .do list .view model. Okay, so that is what we need to add. This is a namespace that we need to add. Aside from that, you need to specify the data type. Now this view model is a folder, so which data are you specifying? That is the main page view model. So let's specify that, and then that's an X, data type, and now here we're going to use this view model that we created as an object from this view model. Then we go in for main. So we have this view model, then x data type equal view model, then dot main page, view model. Yeah, so we have the data type. Now this is a main page view model as indicated here, main page view model. So that's the data type that we are using specifically for this page. Okay, so once you have this connected, what you have to do here again is to call or bind the event. So how do you bind this event? Let's say, so we come to the collection view, and now this collection view, this is what we are going to do. So let's first clear this default one. So we can actually copy this. Okay, let's copy this, Control K and C. Let's comment this, then let's paste this. So here is a default, so we can say default one. So let's Control K and C, comment, and now here let's paste this. So we can say from MVVM. So here it is from MVVM, Control K C, comment this. Okay, so once we are here with the data type that we have, this is what we are going to do. So we are going to clear all this. Let's remove this. So no hard coding again. And now with the item source too, we have to clear this item source, and we leave only the item template. Okay, so we have the item template and we have a data template in. Now this data template, let's bind here. So we say x match to data type, and the data type here, it is string. So x type, and that's an x string. So the data type here, it is string. Now under the collection views here, let's specify the item source. Okay, so we can make this on a just on a line to help us simplify things. So on a line here we say item source. Now this item source, we are binding, so binding, and that's an item. Do you remember this is an items from this main page view model? So you bind it to these items, and now the next thing that we can do here is very simple. Now let's see from the add button. Now we are done with this. Let's go to the button and try to add the event. So the button is right here. You know, there's a button, and I like to put it on a just single line as a CSS. Okay, so good. So that's, I think this okay, much more cleaner than having the line form. Well, depends how you want it. So here we can pass in command. So this command here, it is binding. We bind this to add command. Why did we get this add command? The method here, it is add. But why do we get add command? Let's go to Solution Explorer. Now let's go to, well, we go to the platforms, dependencies, and now let's see where we can have the package. So there's an Android community toolkit. Let's go to the analyzers. Now the analyzers, let me expand this. Now we see the toolkit, and now we see we have source generator. So as you can see from here, let's open the source generator. So I want us to get a generator for the relay command. That's the last one. If I click on this, let's see if it's going to open. Then I want to show you the reason why we have this, that add, and we have the command attached to. It is like naming convention. So you know, as soon as you pass in the add, the command has been attached to. So you can see the backend field for add command. So we added add. By the naming convention here, command has been added. So here you can see it is creating an add command, and you can see the action is add. But the name they're going to call is add command. So that's why we're using this add command. Okay, or the add command popped up. Okay, so here in our XAML page we have added this command. Let's save this and see what's going to happen. So click on save. Let's run this application. Alright, so whilst it is building to run, let's perform some of the other events as well. We want to swap and delete. Okay, so swap and delete. Let's add that. I don't want us video to maybe 130 minutes. I think that's going to be okay. So we almost approaching the almost 1 hour. Yeah, so let's create it fast and let's see what we can do here. Now in order to do this, we have to perform that in the collection view, and that's the data template. So in the data template we have to call this swap view method. So because we have the data template here. Now what's great, which is affecting each, we can actually cut this grid. Now when we cut this grid, we want to perform few things in it. Okay, so now you can see we have the data template and we are binding to this item, meaning we need not to even have this one. Okay, so since it is bound to this item template, this grid can be taken off. So yeah, it is off now. Now let's see, we have a swap. So swap view. So swap view. Then you're gonna have swap view the position. So swap view dot, that's the right items. Now in the right items, let's have the collection, that is a swap view or swap items. Then inside the swap items, single swap item. Now this single swap item, this is what you want to do. So this single swap item, you want to say the text, if you swap to left, text is delete. Also you have a background color, so back of red, and you want to have command. So with this command, before we create this command, let's go to the main view model. Let's see if I can download is still building. So now let's go to the main page view model. This add. So now when you go for the delete, what do you want to do? Let's see. So for the delete, let's create a void. So void, and that is remove. Okay, so if I click on this remove, we want to pass in string s, that is the parameter. Now very simple, the items dot remove, then you pass in s. So as soon as you pass in the parameter, and I'm going to remove from this item. The parameter is going to be the text, the string itself. That's an item list. As soon as you click, then you want to remove it right here. Okay, so that is remove item dot remove. So maybe we can actually check first. We can say if items.contain s, okay, before we perform this. I think this is okay now. So Control K and D, we format it and save. So that is removed. So we can now click on that to remove the item. Alright, let's go to the main page. And now here with the main page, we have to link that. But you see here, we're not having a button to remove it. Okay, so it's going to be a swap item. So the bind here is going to be a relative source to an ancestor type, because it is saying that we don't want to, now you see this data temp here, it is bound to string, but I don't want to bound to this string. So go up and I'll search for a specific method. So that's what you're going to pass in. And so the first thing that we have to do here is we are going to say at the command parameter. So command parameter here, that is binding dot meet itself. So the specific that we click as a dot. So now we have the parameter. What you can do here is the command itself. So the command here, that is the binding, and here we want to specify the source of this. And now the source we are saying is a relative source. So relative binding source, and this type is going to be an ancestor type. So relative, supposed to be relative source, not binding source. So relative source and the ancestor type, we want to specify the type over there, and it's going to be X type. So ancestor type, we pass in this X type, it's a X type X. So the type here is going to be view model. So view model, and now main view model. So that is the type. Aside from that, let's have comma. We need to specify the path. So which one? And the path here, it is called delete command. So it is delete. It is delete command. Okay. So let's specify here. It also relay command. Okay. So this delete or remove. Now we go back then here to the command over here, and let's see if this is going to pop up. So this is delete, and that is delete command. So it is inheriting from this main page view model, and that is the MVVM, and the command here is delete command. Okay, so let's save this. Alright, so now we are done with this. Let's register the services whilst we run. So we go to Solution Explorer, then we navigate to Maui program.cs. So this where we have to register the package that we installed and also the view model that we have created. Okay, so let's see. So builder.services, then we're going to add singleton. So add singleton. Then here we need to specify the main page. So single supposed to be S. Alright, then let's go back and add the main page and the view models. So let's add main page, then we close this, Then we're going to add the same thing to the main page view model. So main page view model. So they're going to be builder.services.add singleton main page. Then we're going to add the same, so builder.services.add singleton. Then here you say main page view model. Alright guys, so once you're done with that, with the registration of these services, we have to bind the entry. Now you can see from this entry, we did not bind the data here. So whatever thing that you pass in here, you don't have any variable to hold that. But we have declared the variable under the MVVM. So that's the variable here, string test. There's a private variable, so the public variable is going to be capital T. Okay, you notice that the private ones with the lowercase and the upper ones are going to be the public ones. So definitely you need to use the public ones in the page. So let's bind them under the entry. So the next one here, we have to go in for binding. So like this, and what you have to do here is we have to specify the text of this entry. So text like this, and this text we can specify it with this as binding. And you know, what are you binding to? You are binding to text. So let's see this text. So that is what we need to do. So we're binding this public text to this entry. As soon as you click on this button, you get this button, this method called in the MVVM. Once you have the text being fed up here, so we're going to grab that and add to the item as indicated in the main page view model. Okay, so for now, let's see. Now don't forget to bring this. That is the framework. That's the frame for the label. So we can have it in that nice order. Okay, we are binding to itself. So there's a dot. So that's what it means. We have font size as 18, and that is all. So you can see from here, that's a swap item delete. So if you swap it to the right, you want to delete, and we are binding the parameter. So this is the parameter you're passing in itself, and record a method that is known as a delete command. Okay, so this delete command, it has been created here. That is the MVVM toolkit that has generated it for us. So we see this is the delete command, and you have the add and delete for now. We can go in for the view, updates, and other commands as well. But for now, you want to maintain these two commands for now. Okay. Alright, so now what we have this here, I think everything is okay now. What you have to do here is to run the application. So let's run this application and see the way forward, the output of this. So click on this. We are first running the Android, and maybe when we are done, we're going to run the Windows 1, 2 and compare both and try to check if what we did is the same as what can appear in the Windows app. So let's wait while the application is now running. Alright, so it is now ready. Now let's see. So enter task. Now the first task that you want to write here is, so we'll go to school. Then let's add. So we'll go to school. Let's add and see. Alright, so you can see we'll go to school. So it has been added. We'll go to school. So after returning from school, what can we do? So we'll go to market. So we'll go for shopping. Alright, so let's add shopping. That's the next task. So after I'm done with the go to school, shopping will be the next one. And let's see. So it is here. Then let's add few more. So after shopping, prepare. Don't prepare some food, right? So prepare some food. Let's add. Then I'll do some perform house chores. Okay, so after I am done performing, then I have to rest for some time. So rest for some time. Now let's click on add. Okay, so let's see. Now you can see we have all the lists, all the tags in order. So go to school, days and that. Now you can see we have it in order, beautiful design. Now if I want to delete this, let's see. So like when I'm done, right click, so drag, now delete. You can see it is off. Now if I want to remove this, I can just drag and then click on delete, and it is done. Now let's try it to the Windows 2 and see. So I'm going to select this, then Windows machine, and now let's click on this to run on the Windows. So click on this to run Windows machine. So we wait for once you have this. So we go for shopping, prepare some food, rest for some time. We go to school. So go to school. So add. Okay. Now let's wait whilst you run the Windows 2 and now check. So our Windows 2 is ready. Now put this over here. Now, so we'll go to school, add to task. You see we have it over here. Now we'll go for shopping. Then add to task. So perform has chores. Add, then prepare some food, so then rest for some time. So you can see we have it. Okay, yeah, so we have a lot of things that we can do to this to-do app, but for now I want us to get the basics, so we're going to end here. Maybe later on we can decide to add more to this. Okay, so if you know what you're doing, the concept, how to use the MVVM, that's the community toolkit.mvvm, that's the NuGet package, how to use these views. That is a great view, the image, the entry, buttons, a collection view, and how to create a connection from the code behind file, the MVVM, to the XML page. Yeah, so that's what we've done. There are a lot of things that we can actually add, like the update and etc. But for now, let's maintain this. Maybe later on we're going to update that. If you like what I'm doing, just give me a thumbs up, share, and also comment as well. I'm going to leave a link to the source code of this project in the description, so you can just click on it and grab the source code, and you can also run it. Yeah, and check with yours what you have. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully I'm going to catch you up the next video. This time around it's not going to be a Blazor web app, it's going to be a mobile web app. Yeah, maybe you can sometimes blend them together, but for now we are concentrating on the mobile app. I believe it's clear. Thank you, and I'm going to catch you up in the next video.